Alright guys, so yesterday I posted my transformation video. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend watching it. And basically it's a video that showcases the progress I've made over the last 4 months of my bulk. So I went from 180 pounds to 210 pounds. So I gained 30 pounds of weight, and as you can see on the screen now, it's a pretty impressive visual change that I achieved. So I'm pretty proud of myself, not gonna lie. So I took my measurements at the start of the bulk and at the end of the bulk, and some of the changes are pretty damn impressive. So my chest went from 102 centimeters to 114, so that's 12 centimeters of gain in my chest. My shoulders went from 124 to 136, so 12 centimeters in my shoulders as well. Biceps went from 39 to 41.5, so that's 2.5 centimeters. My waist went from 84 to 90, so I did gain some size in the waist, which is indicative of fat gain, which is kind of inevitable when you bulk, especially if you're calorie surplus. You got to accept that, and then when you cut down, you can lose that again. Would be ideal if my waist stayed the same, but that's kind of like wishing for $1 million. My quads went from 57 centimeters to 64, which is a cool 7 centimeters of growth there too. And my calves even went from 40 to 40.5, which I cannot believe considering I didn't train calves, but it's probably literally just fat lining around my calves. But actually, I didn't actually gain that much fat. So I've got my in-body scans here, which I did with Simon, who's an absolute legend, and I highly recommend you guys, if you're in the Illawarra, booking a scan with him. Basically, my first scan that I did, which was a couple of weeks into the bulk, so I probably already gained a little bit of fat. I was 10.8% body fat. And then at the end of bulk, I was 13.4. So that's only a 2.6% gain in body fat, which is pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. The nature of gaining muscle is a calorie surplus, and so you're not only going to gain muscle, but you're more than likely going to gain fat because you've got excess energy, and that results in storage. So yeah. So aside from the visual gains and the measurement changes, etc., I also gained a lot of strength. So I gained 35 kilos on my bench press, 50 kilos on my squat, and 50 kilos on my deadlift. They're not all-time PR improvements, but because I went to Europe before starting this bulk and traveled Europe for about 4 months, I had lost a lot of size and strength. So coming into this bulk, I was able to make really good progress. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is we have things in our bodies called satellite cells and muscle memory. So your body remembers where you were. And for me, I had been in a lot better shape than I started my bulk at. And so as a result, my strength and my muscle and just all my weight just piled on really quickly, and I got an amazing transformation in just 4 months of time. So I don't want to give you guys false standards and make you think that you can achieve results similar to this, because it's very unlikely unless you are a trained person who stopped training and then you restarted training again, and then you'll achieve that same kind of results due to muscle memory, or you're someone who has never trained before, in which case you should be able to progress at that fast of a rate as well. And to prove that, as you can see here on the in-body scan, this is the scan that I got before I went to Europe, okay? And my total skeletal muscle mass in kilograms was 47.8 kilos, right? And then this is when I got back, so I'd lost about 4 kilos of muscle, and then this is me now at 48.2 kilos of muscle. So I've only actually got an extra 400 grams of muscle than before I left to Europe. So as you can see, it is the satellite cells. My body just quickly got me to where I was and then a little bit above, but not much further than that. So I know a lot of you out there have been claiming that I was on steroids, and if you saw the clip of me getting that needle injected into me, that was me just testing my blood levels and stuff at the start, because I like data and I like running tests. So I was not on steroids. It's 100% natural, guys, and it's literally just because of the satellite cells. So that's the main reason I progressed so fast, but the other reason I progressed so fast is because it was my life. I dedicated everything to this. The last 4 months, I've tracked my calories every single day. I have hit the gym every day that I was programmed to hit the gym. In fact, it's more of a challenge for me to do rest days. So I actually did my rest days so that I would recover. And that's something that I really prioritized this time as well. I prioritized sleep. Like, I didn't even go out, I didn't do anything. I just wanted to make sure I was sleeping my 8 to 10 hours a night. I wanted to make sure I was eating the set amount of calories. I was in that like 300 to 500 calorie surplus every single day, and I was eating 2.6 grams protein per kilogram of body weight every single day. I was timing my carbohydrates around my workout every single day. And the reason I keep saying every single day is because that's where I want to hone in. It's consistency, guys. It's adherence, and that's one of the most important things. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons why I got the results I got, is because every day everything was on track. So I know I just mentioned some things like carbs around your workout, protein intake, calorie surplus. So I'll just go in a little bit more depth about that and how I structured it. And so I was aiming to gain around half a kilo to a kilo per week, which is what happened for me through being in a 500 calorie surplus every day, because that's how it works. Because 3,500 calories of like excess energy typically equates to about 1 pound of weight gain, which is about half a kilo, which is what I was going for. Although earlier on I gained more weight because of water weight, and actually I was really hungry when I started training intensely again, so I was just like, I'm just going to eat if my body's wanting me to eat. And so some days I even had like 4,000 calories. But yeah, so I was consistent in eating enough, and that's something that a lot of you guys don't do, is you're not consistent in eating enough. You need to eat, like that's what fuels growth. And the next thing is I was consistent in eating a lot of protein, because protein is the building blocks of your muscles, guys. Your muscles are made up of protein. In fact, basically I think every structure in your body is made up of protein. Like protein is life, and if you want to get muscle, think about it, like you eat meat, which is muscle, there's obviously going to be a transfer into muscle, and it's the truth. Like, and I know there's the vegans out there and stuff, and sure, you can get protein in through vegan means, and you can pair different vegan foods to get the amino acid profile that you need, but meat actually has a complete amino acids, it has vitamin B12, it has many benefits. So I do recommend eating meat if you're not a vegan. But if you're a vegan, you can figure out ways. So you just want to have a high protein intake. And for me, I like to do 2.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, but I was leaner. If you're fatty, you probably don't need to do that much. But there's a lot of studies out there that say you need this much protein, you need this much protein. The way I see it is, no one has confirmed how much protein you need, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'd rather have extra protein and then that protein just convert into glucose if I'm not absorbing it and using it, than not have enough protein and potentially not optimize my rate of muscular growth. So that's the next big thing. The next big thing after that would be micronutrients. I say you want to be healthy. If you're not healthy, then your physique transformation is going to be hindered and you're going to feel like shit, you're not going to have energy in the gym and other things. So you really want to be prioritizing like healthy sources of foods, fruits, vegetables, meats. That's basically what I ate, and then grains as well, because for me, to get the calorie intake that I needed without having grains would result in like crazy volumes of food. And also grains is an easy way to get more calories, and it makes it cheaper too, otherwise I'd be paying so much money. And also when your calorie intake gets really high, that's when you can start to have things like, I don't know, like dark chocolate and more calorie dense, peanut butter, calorie dense things. Because if you're just eating grains, fruits and vegetables as like your carbohydrate sources, then your fiber intake is going to be so high, and that's going to cause some problems too. And then after that, you want to have carbs around your workout. Your body works best on carbohydrates as the body's preferred energy source. It is what the body likes to run off. So carbs around your workout is going to facilitate better performance in the gym, more strength equals more gains. And also when you work out, you deplete your glycogen stores, which is related to carbohydrates. So basically when you eat carbs after you work out, you're going to replenish these glycogen stores, and basically then the body is going to be able to work on building muscle, and carbs are going to act as like the bus to transport the nutrients to the muscle, transport the protein to the muscle. So you want to have carbs around your workout, and then you want to have fats. I was having fats at about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, just for health and well-being. Fats are really important for your hormonal system as well. All macronutrients are important for your hormonal system, and you definitely want your hormonal system firing. You want your testosterone firing and stuff like that as well. And if your sleep's compromised, if you're having too much caffeine, too much cortisol, too much stress, then all of that's going to hinder as well. So you want to make sure your hormones are good, and that's why you would have seen that clip of me getting my blood test, because I was actually checking my testosterone levels throughout to make sure that my testosterone was optimal and I wasn't doing anything weird that was messing with my blood levels and stuff, which I wasn't, which is good. And then other than that, I utilize supplementation as well. So I'd have protein powder to get my daily protein intake up, because honestly to hit 2.6 times my body weight is like 240 grams of protein, and to hit that through meat and only is like insane. So I had about 2 scoops of protein powder, sometimes 3, normally in my oatmeal or my protein pancakes, or in my shake with coconut water after I worked out. Coconut water has also electrolytes, back to the micronutrient side of things, which helps build some bloated muscle. And then I also had creatine, your ATP-PC system. Basically creatine is like the amino acid that is utilized in the ATP-PC system, which is the energy system that we use when we're weightlifting. So you want your creatine levels saturated so that you can be as strong as possible, and basically more strength equals more muscle growth. So I had creatine, I had whey protein powder, then I would also use from ATP Science, which is a science-backed company, which is like fully legit, really good company. I use ZMST to help with my recovery. Zinc, magnesium, selenium, they're all minerals that are going to help with your recovery, and so I was having that before bed, normally about 2 capsules per day. Then I was also having Cord RX sometimes to keep my cortisol levels in check, which will help keep my testosterone levels up. Multi-food by ATP Science is also good. So ATP Science is really good as well. And then I was also having pre-workout. RP Max from EHP Labs is bloody awesome, just to get some caffeine in. I was also just having Before You Speak coffee. By the way, for ATP Science, I do have a 10% off code that you can use, and for the Before You Speak coffee as well, both of which are Riley10. So the link for them will be in the description. So anyway, so what I've covered so far is calorie surplus, protein intake, micronutrients, carbs, pre and post workout, and then supplementation. They're basically the big keys, and also recovery, getting your sleep in, because you actually grow when you sleep, not when you're in the gym. In the gym, you're actually going catabolic, so you're actually losing muscle. It's then when you recover. So you break down the muscle tissue, and then you recover and you build new tissue. It's muscle protein breakdown versus muscle protein synthesis. So in the gym, breakdown occurs, and then the synthesis and the building of more muscle protein occurs afterwards when you recover. So you need to be sleeping. That's why you take ZMST. OxySleep from EHP Labs was another supplement I was taking, which helped with my sleep as well. And I just want to, you have to optimize all aspects of your life for the best transformation. You have to be chilled out, you have to not be stressed, you have to sleep, you have to train, you have to optimize all your nutrition. Like, it is a process, but it's worth it, and it's a lifestyle, guys. So that's kind of the nutrition side of things. Then training wise, what I was doing was I was training in 5-week mesocycles with a deload every 5th week. So basically like a linear periodization model, where first week of each mesocycle was like the lowest amount of volume and intensity, where I was training at about 3 sets per exercise, about 6 to 8 exercises per workout. Typically like a kind of running an upper-lower split with then an arm day for the start, but it wasn't upper-lower. I was actually doing back and legs, and then chest, shoulders, and arms, and then also a separate arm day, because arms were my weak point. That was like my split for the majority of this bulk, and then I went into a powerlifting program by Lane Norton towards the end. But anyway, so I started with lower volume and lower RPE, which is called your rate of perceived exhaustion, which basically is how you regulate the intensity. So my RPE was like 6 to 8 at the start, which means I basically had 4 to 2 reps left in the tank. So the scale works of 10 meaning complete failure, 9 means 1 left in the tank, 8 means 2 left in the tank, 7 means 3 left in the tank, and so on. That's how it works. So RPE 6 to 8 at about 3 sets, and then each week I would increase my volume either through increasing literally total number of sets or increasing my intensity. And so that way the stimulus is getting incrementally more, because the body is very adaptive. So you need to continuously make changes. So that's why you need some form of periodization. And what's going to occur with that is progressive overload, where you progressively overload either in volume, either in intensity, or in strength. And that progressive overload is like the most fundamental principle for muscular growth. Without progressive overload, you're not going to change, because you see people who just go in the gym, they just do the same thing day in, day out, and they don't go anywhere. The body is so adaptive. It likes homeostasis. It likes to be where it's at. So you got to do some serious shit to make it change. So linear progression, progressive overload focused model of training, where I deload every 5 weeks so I don't overtrain, so my body has a little bit of a break, so then I can push the barrier. And basically how it works is like you start here, deload, start here, deload, and you're basically always climbing the ladder of more gains. So as I said, I ran that 5-day split for the first half of the bulk, and then a powerlifting program for the next half of the bulk. And the reason both were so effective, even on the powerlifting program, I made a lot of muscular growth, predominantly strength, but still muscular growth on that as well, is because compound movements are key. I really believe for natural lifters, you really want to prioritize compound movements. So it's like your bench press, your deadlift, and your squat primarily for me anyway, but you also could do chin-ups, you could do dips. They're also great too. So compound movements are key because they recruit multiple muscle groups, because they're multiple joint movements. So, and then you're going to get more bang for your buck, as well as the hormonal benefits, because you're going to be able to lift more weight, and it's just all around the best way for a natural lifter to train. So I was prioritizing deadlifts the whole time throughout. That's how I gained that 50 kilos of strength. Specificity is key there as well, guys. If you want to get good at a lift, don't listen to people telling you to do all these other lifts. In my opinion, do that lift. Get better at that lift. Get the technique down pat and you'll get stronger at that lift. So I was doing deadlifts, I was doing squats, and I was doing bench basically throughout the whole program. And that's kind of the biggest keys, in my opinion, for training is progressive overload, compound movements, and intensity, where you take the intensity up at RPE 10, then have a deload and back up. Not always training to extreme failure, because then you are likely to get hurt and basically you have nowhere to push from. And you want to really track your weights to ensure progressive overload occurs. You want to ensure you get stronger, guys, because strength and muscular growth, in my opinion, has a direct correlation as long as you're in a calorie surplus. So yeah, that was kind of my training model and my nutrition plan for the bulk. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that explains some of the questions you had. I know like I just completely rambled that off topic, but I like doing these raw videos where I just talk, because I feel like if I script it, and I could make it a little bit easier to understand by scripting it, but I feel like it's less boring, there's less passion, and you know when I'm doing this that I know what I'm talking about, because I'm not reading off a script. Like, this is all from my head, from what I believe, and honestly it worked for me and I think it would work for you. So let's just summarize really quickly to take home notes for you. Calorie surplus. I would recommend a 500 calorie surplus per day. If you're holding onto a bit of fat, maybe 300. Next, protein intake, 2 to 2.6 grams per kilogram of body fat. The leaner you are, the higher on that spectrum. Next, micronutrients. Be healthy, guys. Eat your vegetables, eat your fruit. It will help you make gains. Next, carbs, pre and post workout, very important. Would highly recommend timing a lot of carbs after you work out and also before you work out for performance and all of that, like I already covered. Supplementation, there's a whole bunch of supplements I would recommend. ATP Science, use my code Riley10, AHP Labs, they're great as well. Yeah, so supplementation can also help. So that'd be my biggest keys. And then you don't need to worry too much about like how many times a day you eat. In my opinion, it's just about overall calorie intake, overall protein intake, and carbs pre and post workout. They're like the most important things in my opinion. And then yeah, training wise, progressive overload, I would recommend, like if you're more advanced, probably 5-week mesocycles where you linearly increase the volume and the intensity and then deloading and back up so you don't overtrain. But listen to your body. If you don't need to deload, you don't need to deload. And compound movements, guys, progressive overload. They are my biggest tips. I hope this video helped you understand how I made so many gains. If you haven't watched my transformation video, seriously recommend watching it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. If you need any more help, any more assistance, if you're lost, then comment below any questions you have and I'll answer them. I'll answer every single comment in this video. Thank you so much. If you did get some value from this, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to my channel, guys, because I'm competing, I'm shredding now for a competition. So Project 7% Body Fat is on the way. So it's going to be cool to watch that. You'll see how to get lean. So anyway, this taught you how to get big. So without further ado, thanks for watching. Make some gains.